Hi, Catherine.
Terry, hi.
Hi. So I know you as a fabulous, amazing body worker and a midwife, but there's a lot you do in the pre and perinatal.
Yeah, world.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I
so
do.
curious, and let me know how you got into it.
Well, in my midwifery training, and in my experience being midwife, I saw how impactful prenatal life was, right? How the environment of gestation, of bringing this incredible being into life, into form, how impactful it was, how the parents were. Were they stressed? Were they comfortable? Were they really at odds with each other? Did they not have anywhere to live? Did something shocking happen? And I noticed that as it came time for the birth, the more healthy the resonant field of the family was, the easier the birth was. It was just kind of so obvious. And then I tried to become pregnant and couldn't, and I didn't understand why. And I heard about pre and perinatal psychology, and I had early umbilical surgery, and I just had this feeling that probably something happened having a surgery as such a young child. It might have affected my reproductive system.
Mm-hmm.
So I went for a few sessions to explore my early life and found, I then talked to my mother, who was so open, really,
Mm-hmm.
in the way that she could be. And she said, "Oh, of course, your birth was very traumatic." And she went on to tell me that, I had had an RH incompatibility with her,
Mm-hmm.
that the whole pregnancy had been tentative, that she had to go in for a lot of testing. Then eventually she went in for a test about 3 weeks before I was born, and the blood rate, numbers, the toxicity level of the blood was really high.
Mm-hmm.
So I was induced um, on the morning of September 1st and born at 10:40 at night on September 2nd. And my mother told me that, back then they really didn't do cesarean sections. So instead they gave me all this Pitocin, and I still wasn't getting born. So eventually they knocked her out with a very powerful cocktail of things and pulled me out with forceps.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was given a blood transfusion and put in an incubator for a couple of weeks. And then I was born with a huge umbilical hernia. And so
That's a
I,
lot.
I then, learning pre and perinatal psychology and understanding myself, understanding that, this time after birth, being separated, from my mother and being in a plastic box with other babies, something happened to my level of empathy for us, like for us as souls coming into life. Something happened to me, and I felt us all in that hospital incubator room, and all of the struggles and existential questions of like, what happened? I was in the body of my mother, and now I'm in a plastic box, and I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And then because I had to have this umbilical surgery at 18 months old, and then I had to have another surgery, actually on my lip, because my lip got bitten off by a dog when I was 9. And I had to be in the hospital several times for that. And I remember walking the halls and seeing these children who were really ill. And again, having that existential insight to like how profound this embodiment journey really is. at such a deep level. We are all like learning how to overcome and become at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love that you were so open all through this, but that you turned something really hard and difficult into your work, your medicine to offer to people.
I think some of us do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm not the only one. I mean, it's sort of
It
like,
can go either way, right?
yeah,
It
it
can
could
really
go either way. It's
into
true.
just trauma or into a path. Yeah.
Yeah.
A path of
Yeah.
healing.
But we have such a personal experience, you know, that it's like I can so deeply see into another person's magnificence,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, because I felt that in that hospital, in the incubator, it's like I could feel that divine spark in all those other babies, but I could feel our disorientation here on earth. Like, this makes no sense, this part, you know? So yeah, once I started learning about pre and perinatal psychology, I couldn't stop learning. It was so close.
Yes.
So close. And I healed so many things inside myself.
Yeah.
So many things that I didn't understand about my personality, like like how I felt in a rush all the time. You know, I would catch myself like in the kitchen cooking, like everything felt so rushed. And once I understood what like nearly 48 hours of Pitocin did, you know,
right.
I came into the world being pushed and hurried,
stimulated.
And then the forceps were like taking my internal direction, my way. And something cold and hard was like, no, you have to come this way.
Mm-hmm.
But that cold and hard thing also saved me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So the relationship to other things being in control, it's like, no wonder I became a midwife and was in charge of myself. No wonder I became a body work and was I have never had a job where I had a boss. Mm-hmm. Because they would be like forceps, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So learning so many things about who I am and honoring, like then I learned to honor my own pace. Mm-hmm. Then I learned to be like, hold on a minute. Like, I need to interrupt you because everything is going way too fast. Mm-hmm. And that puts me into shock, mm-hmm. right? I can now say that. And I can say, hold on, I need to feel myself. I need to find my body. I need to find my ground. And then I am totally willing to be here with you.
Right.
But that exhale, it was almost like I didn't know how to exhale, like for the first 40 years of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good work you have done and that you're sharing. And this, I mean, it just goes all the way back to your beginnings, just all the way back. And I really like too how, you said the forceps, they were hard metal, cold things, but they helped you. So they're not bad, they're not evil, just.
No.
Yeah.
And to learn how to discern. I mean, aren't we all doing that in our daily life? Like, what is uniquely helpful to me? Mm-hmm. And what part of what helps me is safe? And what part of what helps me injures me, or do I feel disempowered by or uncomfortable by? Mm-hmm. Right? We all, I think, have so many issues around finding our true voice and speaking it when there's any kind of authority.
Right. And that you have choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mm-hmm. Exactly.
That you have choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I got so hooked on this work, and I started working with Carlton Terry, and he could see, he just saw that I knew, like, I knew so much intuitively about this realm. It's like I had been a student of it since day one. So I started assisting him in his trainings in Europe, and then I started doing my own work in the United States, and we eventually actually ended up marrying and working together for many, many, many years, all over the US and in Europe for about 15 years.
Wow.
And that was a huge, like, privilege is all I can say. Like, sitting literally in these beautiful workshop spaces that we would create such a sense of safety and sacred, like sacred harmony in this environment. We're diving so deep into really this, again, journey of all of us as souls embodying here.
Right.
And what we're looking for is coherence, right? Like, we are just beings of profound coherence, but
and connection.
Right.
I have a question. So in the workshops, is it people like you that have experienced what you experience, being separated, forceps, agitation in utero because of medication? Or is it people, new mothers, women who are pregnant? Is it all of that? Is it?
Such a good question. It's everyone.
Everybody.
The thing that's so amazing is there's no human being who can't come to this workshop.
Right. Yes. You've been born, everybody's been born, you're going to be given birth. Yeah, right.
We have all been born.
We've all been born.
We all had prenatal lives.
Everybody should have a little bit of this work.
We were all born and we all gestated for 9 months. And in that gestation, we are forming our entire body and all of our neurology, right? The neurology of the gut, the neurology of the heart, the neurology of the brain, everything.
It's miraculous.
Is being informed by this incredible body that you're living in. And so it comes back to, like, when I was a midwife and saw these mamas and their babies in their bodies and connected to those babies, I could feel such a resonance between the mom's experience and the baby's experience. Right? And it doesn't mean, nobody's perfect. No, I don't think any mama would say, I had everything went exactly the way I wanted it to the entire time, right? That's not reality. But the beautiful thing is the knowledge, right? The knowledge that you are, creating a resonant field for your baby, and to be able to speak to your baby and talk to your baby about your own challenges, because then baby says, oh, wow, I'm having an experience, but it's not my experience.
Right. That's lovely. Yes.
It's their experience. And mama goes, don't worry, sweetheart. You're fine. Right. Or they say, oh my gosh, we all just had a really scary experience. Right. But you're considering this other soul's early embodiment, that they're already on their path to becoming.
Right. And by that connection, you can soothe. You can soothe and assure and calm.
Hi, sweetheart.
So when you do the workshops, when you've done the workshops with pregnant women, do you talk to the babies?
Oh yeah, they're workshop participants.
Yeah.
No doubt. They are workshop participants.
Awesome.
Yeah, so anybody can come, but yes, it's also really, let's see, I think the depth and breadth in which we can cover territory is, it's extraordinary. Like, young children, like, we can help people understand their children and what they've been through. And so it's interesting to have parents come as workshop participants, because often, even if their baby isn't in the room with them, they're processing also not their own birth, their own prenatal life, but what it was like for them during the time where they gestated their children.
Right.
So many layers can be healed.
Right. And then I picture them taking what they've experienced, what they've learned home, and
Yep.
changing things.
Yeah.
The continuation of
Yeah.
healing.
Yeah. So it's everyone is welcome.
Yeah. Lovely.